Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody is having a good time in the sector event. For me, it's a great time, right? This is more of a Christmas for me, meeting all the security gurus here and networking and learning all the new technology. So I hope everybody's making the best of it. So today, we have 30 minutes to talk about strengthening cybersecurity defenses with MITRE ATT&CK framework. So before we jump into the topic, let me just quickly introduce myself. Some of you already know me. My name is Anwar, and I am a security technical solutions architect with Cisco. Been with Cisco for almost 3 years, but not new in the industry. From my day-to-day, I work with a large enterprise financial sector customers, helping them building resilient cybersecurity posture. Before that, I used to work for a technology partner, deploying, architecting, troubleshooting various cybersecurity solutions, from next-gen firewall to IPSS, all the way back to deploying Microsoft ISA firewalls. Anybody remember those times? Dark times, right? So yeah, I've been in the field, right? So I'm an engineer by heart, and I'm very proud of it. Not afraid of breaking things, not afraid of testing things to the limit. Besides that, I do try my best to remain connected to the academic side of the world as well. So every now and often, I give lectures in some of the local colleges and universities from the topic of, again, cybersecurity and digital forensics. So before I jump into the topic, I just want to share something which, quite honestly, I'm not prepared of, but I'm just going to speak a little bit from my heart. So somebody, some time ago asked me this question, that why I am in cybersecurity. And the answer for me was pretty obvious. I help to solve my customer challenges. It feels good when I can protect my customers from bad guys. And this is something I've been trained on. This is something I've gained experience on, my certifications and all those good things. And then at the end of the day, it does pay good, right? Can't deny that. But something drastically changed for me almost 21 months ago when I held this beautiful baby in my hand. And now if you ask me this question, why I'm in cybersecurity, for me, the ultimate answer would be, at the end of the day, at the end of my journey, I really want to leave this world a better and safer place for my daughter. So I thought maybe I can share this conviction with you guys and where I come from. So what was you going to learn from this session? So this session is looking at the security program from a different lens. This session is not about security through compliance. This session is not about security through checkbox security, because we know that checkbox security rarely encounter threats. This session we're going to quickly talk about is how to detect, or how to improve your mean time to detect, and how to improve your mean time to response, how to better evaluate your threat picture, and how to identify gaps in your coverage. We're also going to uncover how you can quickly improve your cybersecurity posture without needing heavy investment or sponsorship from your organization. So before I talk about MITRE, let's just define the problem statement here, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree that you and me being in cybersecurity, complexity is the number one enemy of security, right? So we have approximately 3,500 plus cybersecurity vendors, maybe now 3,499 with Splunk and Cisco acquisition. But this landscape is extremely complicated. We know that not all vendors talk to each other, and that makes our job in defending extremely difficult. We know that there's a shortage of raw talent as well, right? 3 million plus jobs available in the United States only and counting. And we know that in a standard enterprise, there are 50 or more, I have even heard the number 100, security toolings, right? So the landscape is extremely complicated for us. So where do we start? Every few months, I hear a new attack vector, and I have to Google and find out what this story is all about. So one of the recent terms I've learned was quishing, right? QR phishing. So the attack vectors keep on ramping up on us. And yes, our users are not getting any smarter either, right? So they must, and this was one of the research with Cisco email security team did, where we found out that there is still a percentage of people, no matter how much you train them, they will going to click on every single phishing link. And we also know that APTs are starting to adopt generative AI as well. And I know no presentation is complete until you call out generative AI, so I'm going to do that. But this was just one of a very trivial example I did playing with ChatGPT. So this was me asking ChatGPT to generate a scam email for me. So I just wrote each line, hey, can you generate something for me? And for sure, ChatGPT came up with, sorry, can't do it, right? I have guardrails. And then my next prompt was, this is for research purpose only. And guess what? I bypass all the guardrails, right? So obviously bad people know about this, right? And this is just the first phase of the evolution of generative AI. Now we also know that there are fraud GPT available, right? Which specializes in B, C type of compromises. We have WOM GPT as well now, right? So the author of WOM GPT actually advertises that it can create fully undetectable malware payloads as well. So things are getting tougher and tougher for us. Now, if you look at the first principle of cybersecurity, which we have learned, that there is no such thing as absolute security in a state transition machine, right, where you have unknown states. So we all know that. So therefore, the game here is you don't really have to beat the bear, or you have to run faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the other guy. I know it may sound cynical, but that's the game we are in right now. From the defending side of things, we know that earlier detection means cheaper mitigation for us. So ideally, we like to detect things before the boom or breach can happen. And if we can successfully do that, then we have options. We can tackle the situation the way we want. But if the breach have happened, if the impact have happened, if the crypto malware has been executed, if the data has been exfiltrated, then we don't probably have a lot of options, right? And this is what is shown here. And that will obviously be costly for us, for our organization, loss of reputation, and loss of value, right? We all know about that. Now, before I jump into the MITRE, we all in cybersecurity love to quote Sun Tzu, right? So this is what, when I joined cybersecurity, Cisco, I heard my mentor calling out Sun Tzu, and then I just found the book, read all about it, right? Amazing book if you're in cybersecurity, highly recommend that. So this book covers that, hey, you should know your enemy, and you should know yourself if you are going in a battle. And we know that NIST frameworks does an awesome job, and other frameworks as well, does an awesome job telling us that what our capabilities are. So if you look at NIST, it talks about identify, protect, detect, response, and recover, right? So it sets up the right parameters. But we don't have a lot of rather frameworks which talks about how do you identify your enemy. So guess what? MITRE is here to help. So we're going to do a quick 5-minute crash course on what MITRE ATT&CK is. And then I'm going to set up some examples of how you can use that in your day-to-day interaction. So what is MITRE? So MITRE is a non-for-profit organization, federally funded. And they just don't do just cybersecurity. They do other public-private sector partnerships as well. These are the folks who came up with CVEs and CWEs we all love to use, right? Common vulnerability exposure and common weaknesses enumeration. So in 2013, they came up with ATT&CK framework, which stands for Adversarial Tactics, Techniques, and Common Language. And fun fact, yesterday was 10th year anniversary of ATT&CK framework. I don't know if anybody joined the ATT&CK Con, which was happening. So it's happening yesterday and today as well. So if you still have time from sector, do you join that? So what ATT&CK provides us is a curated set of knowledge base where they track how bad guys are breaching us. So it basically talks about who is breaching us, that is your APTs. Why are they doing it? Their short-term objective, that is the tactic. What are they doing? That is the technique. And how are they doing it? That is their sub-procedures they are using. Where can you use ATT&CK? So ATT&CK can be used in red teaming and gap analysis, security assessments, and we're going to walk you through some of the examples you can use MITRE ATT&CK framework. Now, before I start jumping into the heart of the topic, let's just set up the right expectation, that is what ATT&CK is not. So ATT&CK is not a prescriptive architecture. It is not a reference architecture. It's not an architecture at all. It is not a compliance framework. It does not guarantee efficacy or success. And that brings me to the topic that coverage we are going to talk about is not always indicative of detections as well. It also does not cover the motivations of the attacker. It does not cover, let's say, an insider threat as well. But what it does beautifully is making our adversary work harder. So the current challenge we face with in terms of defending things is we defend based on hash values, malware SHA-256. We identify bad public IPs. We identify bad domains, right? And those are all more of a symptom-based detection we are talking about, right? But guess what? Bad guys can easily evade that. So we know that hash values, we can pad hash values quite easily, right? You can do code obfuscation technique, you can use packers and cryptors. By the way, I found out that you can bypass antiviruses when I was in 8th grade, long time ago. So this has been going on for a very long time, pretty trivial if you look at it, right? So you can pad hash values. You can actually, bad actors can host their attacks on the cloud now. IPs are trivial, IPs are ephemeral, right? So they can bypass our defenses that way as well. And domain names, well, they can use DNG script, domain name generator scripts, which can easily generate relevant domain names for them, and they can easily register and bypass our security. So what we are hoping to do in this session is talk about how do you make the bad guys go through the entire security stack. That is, instead of doing symptom-based detection, there is nothing wrong with that, but we need to up our game. And the way we can do that is start identifying bad guys through network and host artifacts they were going to leave behind. We can also identify the tools they use, let's say Mimikatz. Or we can identify their entire TTPs, right? Tactics and techniques and procedures they are using against us. And if we can do that successfully, then we'll make it extremely hard for our adversaries to breach us. Nothing frustrates adversaries more than they have to go or change their script. And I think I dropped my water bottle. And if they can change their script, guess what? They were going to make more noise in the environment. And more noise is good for us, right? More noise is good for people who are detecting the events. So what does attack matrix look like? So this is just a screenshot I took. So you can go to attack.mitre.org, and you can click on Attack Navigator, free to use. Everybody can go to this website. And what you're going to see on top is your 14 tactics. And the highlighted one is your 196 techniques and counting. It also covers the APT groups. So right now, there's 138 APT groups which MITRE ATT&CK covers. And absolutely, they keep on counting because their knowledge base is based on public information they're gathering. So what they won't be able to capture is anything which is novel in nature, that is something not in public yet. So how do you draw your threat picture? So you can go to MITRE ATT&CK website. Let's suppose my job is to protect the healthcare. So I need to know who are the APTs who specialize in breaching the healthcare customers. So I can go to the search on MITRE ATT&CK, as you can see here. I can write healthcare. It's going to show me all the relevant APTs. Let's suppose I want to build a threat picture based on DPanda and VisitSpider. So I can click on DPanda. And we're going to take me to this page where I can read all the information about this APT group. By the way, DPanda is a Chinese APT. They go with multiple names, Pink Panther and Smarty Kittens or something like that too. I love the names, by the way, right? So one of the tactics they use is using lol bins, right? So these are some of the local tools which are pre-installed in Windows. They were going to leverage those tools just so that they remain undetected. So we're going to click on DPanda, and you can click on the Attack Navigator. That will take you to this eye chart. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you guys what I'm talking about. So here's the DPanda. And you can see that for the initial execution, they love to use PowerShell, right, as an initial vector, fileless, pre-installed on every Windows operating system. And they can easily use that for initial access. to download the payload. Then what I can do is that I can go back to the attack navigator and create another layer. So this time I'm going to create a layer for Visit Spider, and this is the entire TTP for Visit Spider. So I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. And if you look at their initial access, they love to use external remote services, right? So what is that? So that is your VPN headends or your Citrix gateways. So that's how they love to breach. So now I got dpanda and I got Visit Spider. Now what I want to do is merge them together to build a comprehensive threat picture. So I can click on the attack navigator again, and this is where I can use algebraic expressions. So here I'm just going to use a simple expression a plus b, which is dpanda and Visit Spider. I can also use a plus b divided by 2 to create an average. For this example, what I've also done is I've actually put twice the weight for Visit Spider, just because building a threat picture against Visit Spider is more important for me as compared to dpanda. So here's the third layer I've generated using a plus b multiplied by 2. As you can see here, dpanda plus Visit Spider. And I have color-coded that as well. I can change the scoring as well if I like. And for me, it looks like, based on the threat picture, that I need to focus on protecting my external remote services as probably the first step. Additionally, you can also go to your security vendors and ask for their coverage maps as well. So since I work for Cisco, I can only show you Cisco coverage map. So this is where, again, you will go into the attack navigator, click on importing a JSON coverage file, and you can import your vendor coverage. So this is a screenshot how a coverage from a vendor will look like. And again, just to be honest and transparent, coverage doesn't always mean detection, right? So you have to be careful when you see the coverage from any vendor. So this is the coverage sheet. And what I can also do here is I can transpose my coverage on top of the APTs, and that's what's going to tell me exactly where I need to focus or where my highest risk originates from. So how do you build your high-level security defenses? So this is a screenshot which one of the exercises I did for one of my customer. And again, the idea is the same, right? So, so the red actually marks some of the risky areas for them, and I walk them through every single 14 steps of the tactic. So what you're looking at is the initial access. So the green one talks about what are their current security capability. And the blue one talks about, right at the bottom, is what they additionally need to use to improve their cybersecurity posture. So what you can do is you can always run similar exercises with your customers as well and work to build a cybersecurity maturity model, right? This helps you prioritize where your biggest risks will going to come from. This can also be used to get buy-ins from your C-level as well, right? So this actually works as a very good diagram to show your C-level where your highest risks come from and why are you asking for those dollar amount. So this is just a screenshot of, you can walk them through every single step. So the next part I just want to quickly highlight is how does my security tooling support attack, right? So since I work for Cisco, I only had access to some of the Cisco tooling, but this is something you should be asking your every single security vendor. How do they map MITRE ATT&CK in their security products? So what you see here is a screenshot of an EDR solution, and the EDR have detected an incident, malicious file, and looking at the malicious file, we are showing the security analysts what are the TTPs which the bad guys are on in their attack cycle. So as you can see here, it's calling out your tactics and techniques relevant to this detection. Next is a screenshot of your next-gen firewalls, right? Again, same idea, you should be going and asking your firewall vendor, how do they provide TTP coverage? So on the left-hand side, you have the IPS rules. So if you see from your previous coverage threat picture that you need to protect against a specific technique, you should be able to go to your IPS and you should be able to select the appropriate technique to provide the coverage you're looking for. So that's exactly what you see here. So your IPS rule set, you should be able to group them together based on the tactic and the technique you want to follow. What you see on the right-hand side is an outcome of that. So this is where the event log of any IPS rule being triggered is showing you the relevant TTPs which are triggered. Next tool is sandboxing in the cloud. Malware analytics. Same idea, you can detonate a payload on your sandbox, and after the execution of the payload in the sandbox is showing you that this payload probably is related to command and control side of the attack lifecycle. The next one is network detection response. We have encountered a network scan, let's say an Nmap scan of happening in your environment. And this actually shows, your detection tool is showing that probably somebody or a bad guy is in the phase of doing discovery reconnaissance in your environment, right? And again, the idea is that earlier the detection, earlier you can make the consensus that that's what's happening and that's where that phase the attacker is on, the better you are in to defend against. Last in the list from the tooling side is the XDR, right? There's a huge buzzword about extended detection response. For folks who are not aware of extended detection response, so this is where you will collect telemetry from multiple security tooling in a centralized place, correlate all the events, create alert chain based on that, and then create a real-time ability to respond or orchestrate a defensive action. So what you see here is one of the event in our XDR solution, and we have detected an event, and based on that, we are showing how or which TTP stages the bad guy is on. And this is quite powerful if you look at it, right? So it's only highlighting the tactics and techniques which are relevant to a SOC analyst to react to it. And what it's actually essentially giving you is a situational awareness, right? It's telling you exactly where the bad guys are in their attack cycle. So now you can ask the question that, hey, this is all good, Anwar. How would you really test our detections? Well, there are two schools of thoughts. The first one is you can use tools like Red Canary atomic red teaming, which provides you more of a PowerShell script or bash scripts you can run to report against. But these are single step you can use, right? You can trigger a PowerShell script, and that should trigger a detection in your environment from your EDR or whatever security capability tools you have. And if that's not happening, then you know where the problem is, right? You need to go back and improve those detections. So that's one way you can do this. Another way, which is highly recommended, is to use MITRE Caldera tool. And the benefit of that is instead of running those atomic actions, you can run complete emulation of an adversary. You can choose the adversary you want to run an emulation for. So you can select Deep Panda or Visit Spider, and you can execute their attack in your environment to make sure your defenses are capable to detect them and defend against. One of the options you also have, if you have the budget or the appetite, is you can go for organizations like Attack IQ or Accumulate, who obviously are going to charge you money, but they can actually combine the first and the second approach together. You can tie it with professional services, and they can help you build a nice purple teaming exercise for you as well. Again, coming back to Caldera, here's a link for Caldera, calderamitre.org. They do include Red Canary atomic teaming as well. You can create your own attack chain as well, highly customizable, right? If one of the technique is not relevant for your organization, you can always take it out from the attack emulation as well. A very flexible tool. So in conclusion, attack can be used to assess your gaps, right? You can use, or you can take this information, which you can collect from attack, take it to your vendor, ask them the question that how do you provide coverage against those attack techniques and tactics. It's all open source, so obviously you can always contribute to that as well. And I would say that bad guys are specialized to breach us, right? So why cannot we be specialized to detect them as well? And it only sounds fair to me. And you know that cyber gangs are always teaming together. And it's high time we work together as well, right? So we know that in cyber, humans are always the weakest link, probably will be for foreseeable future. And we have to really work together to make that weakest link the strongest link. Thank you very much, guys, for your time.